Welcome to Radiant Wisdom.
When was the last time you truly stopped? Not just a brief pause between tasks. Not the moment before you check your phone, but a real deep stillness, where the noise in your mind fades and you feel completely present. Most of us live life in a constant rush. We wake up to alarms, hurry through meals, jump from one obligation to the next, and fall asleep exhausted, only to repeat the cycle the next day. We measure our success by productivity, by how much we accomplish, by how quickly we move. But what if stillness was just as important as movement? Imagine this. You're walking through a quiet Buddhist temple, perhaps somewhere deep in the mountains. The scent of incense lingers in the cool morning air. The stone path beneath your feet feels firm and grounding. Birds call softly in the distance. There is a calmness here, an unspoken invitation to slow down. Then suddenly a sound cuts through the silence. A bell. Its deep, resonant tone vibrates through the air, through the walls, through your very bones. And in that moment, everything stops. The monks pause mid-step, the visitors hush, even the wind seems to still. And without knowing why, you take a breath. A deep, intentional breath. For the first time in what feels like forever, your mind quiets. Your body relaxes. You are not thinking about the past. You are not planning for the future. You are just here. This is the power of listening to the bell. It is not just a sound. It is an invitation, a moment of presence, a reminder that beneath the rush, beneath the stress, beneath the endless to-do lists, there is something deeper, a place of peace that has always been within you. And what about joining hands? That simple yet profound gesture that Buddhist monks, spiritual seekers, and even everyday people across cultures use? It is more than a sign of greeting or respect. It is a recognition, a symbol of unity, of wisdom, of compassion. Today we are going to explore these two ancient practices. The deep meaning behind the ringing of the bell, the spiritual and psychological impact of this sound, and the simple yet profound act of joining hands. What it truly means and how it can transform the way we connect with ourselves and others. By the end of this journey, you will see that these practices are not just for monks in temples. They are for all of us. In our daily lives, in our homes, in the way we navigate this busy, chaotic world. Before we begin, take a moment. Take a deep breath in and out. And if this message speaks to you, if you feel something stirring within, consider supporting this space of mindfulness. Like this video, share it with someone who needs a moment of peace, and join the conversation in the comments below. Now let's begin. The story, a young man's restless mind. There was once a young man who was always in a hurry. He lived in a world of deadlines and expectations, always chasing something just out of reach: wealth, success, recognition. He was intelligent, ambitious, and driven. Yet no matter how much he achieved, he felt a growing emptiness inside. At night he would lie in bed, his mind racing with thoughts. What's next? What more can I do? He could never rest. Even in moments of silence, his thoughts screamed louder than ever. One day, during a business trip to a foreign country, he found himself with a rare free afternoon. Wandering aimlessly through the streets, he stumbled upon an ancient Buddhist temple, hidden behind stone walls and towering trees. It was not a place he had planned to visit, but something about it felt different. Curious, he stepped inside. The air smelled of burning incense. The golden light of the late afternoon sun filtered through the temple's wooden beams. Everything was still. The only sound was the faint rustling of leaves in the breeze. Then, suddenly, a bell rang. Its deep, resonant tone cut through the air like a wave, washing over him. The moment the sound reached his ears, something strange happened. His mind, usually filled with endless chatter, fell completely silent. He stood frozen. Around him, the monks who had been walking, sweeping, and praying all stopped as well. No one spoke, no one moved. They simply stood, eyes closed, breathing. The bell rang again. He watched as an elderly monk nearby pressed his palms together in a quiet, deliberate gesture. The monk turned to him and smiled, as if sensing his confusion. "That sound," the monk said gently, "is not just a sound. It is an invitation, a moment to come back to yourself." The young man frowned. "Come back to myself?" he asked. "I don't understand." The monk chuckled softly. "You are always running, always looking ahead. But have you ever stopped and truly been here?" The young man had no answer. The monk simply joined his hands together once more, bowed slightly, and walked away. For the first time in years, the young man didn't feel the urge to rush. He sat on the temple steps and listened to the birds, to the wind, to the distant echoes of the bell. For the first time in years, he was not thinking about the future. He was simply here, and for a fleeting moment he felt something he had been searching for all along: peace. Over the next few days, he stayed at the temple. He watched how the monks lived, not in a rush, not in pursuit of wealth or status, but with a quiet presence, a deep contentment. He learned about the practice of listening to the bell, how each sound was a reminder to return to the present. He practiced joining his hands together, not just as a gesture of greeting, but as a way to connect to himself, to others, to something greater. When he finally left, nothing about his external life had changed. His job, his responsibilities, the pressures of the world, all of it was still waiting for him. But he had changed. Now, whenever he felt overwhelmed, he would pause. He would listen for any sound: a car horn, a ringing phone, the laughter of a stranger, and he would use it as his bell. He would bring his hands together, close his eyes, and breathe. And in that small moment of stillness, he would find something more valuable than success or recognition. He would find himself. The meaning of the bell, more than just a sound. At first glance, a bell is just a bell, a simple instrument made of metal, hanging in temples or churches, rung to mark time or call people together. But in the Buddhist tradition, the sound of the bell is far more than that. It is a call to presence, a wake-up call for the soul, a sound that awakens. In many Buddhist temples, bells are rung with great care and mindfulness. The act of striking the bell is not random. It is a practice, a meditation in itself. Monks do not ring the bell just to create noise. They invite the bell to sound. This is why, in many traditions, Ikyud Zipwe, which translates to inviting the bell. The bell is treated with reverence, as if it has its own spirit, its own wisdom. Before striking it, a monk will take a deep breath, center themselves, and only then, with full awareness, allow the sound to emerge. When the bell rings, its deep, resonant vibration spreads in all directions. It cuts through the noise, not just the noise of the outside world, but the noise inside us. The endless thinking, worrying, planning. And for a brief moment, when the sound reaches your ears, something happens. Your mind stops. You return to the present moment. You remember that you are alive, here and now. Why 108 rings? The symbolism of the bell. In many monasteries, the great temple bell is rung 108 times. This is not a random number. It is deeply symbolic in Buddhist teachings. Buddhism teaches that the human mind is clouded by 108 defilements. Mental afflictions such as greed, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, doubt, and attachment. These are the illusions that keep us trapped in suffering, preventing us from seeing things as they truly are. Each time the bell rings, it is said to dissolve one of these afflictions, clearing the mind, purifying the heart. Even if we do not believe in the literal meaning, the practice reminds us of something essential. We all carry burdens, but with each mindful breath, each conscious moment, we can let go. The bell is a teacher in everyday life. You don't need to be in a monastery to hear the bell. In fact, if you listen closely, bells are everywhere. The beeping of a car horn, the chime of your phone, the ticking of a clock, even the sound of rain hitting your window. Any sound can be your bell, if you allow it to be. Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Zen master, taught that we can turn everyday noises into moments of mindfulness. Instead of feeling annoyed when you hear a sound, use it as a reminder. When you hear your phone ring, instead of rushing to answer, pause. Take a breath, come back to yourself. When you hear a doorbell, a train passing, or even the hum of an air conditioner, let it be a moment of presence. The sound of the bell is always inviting you to return. The question is, are you listening? A moment of practice. Right now, as you sit here, take a deep breath. Imagine the sound of a great temple bell ringing in the distance. As the sound fades, feel yourself becoming lighter, calmer. Another breath. Let go of your worries, just for this moment. The bell is not just a sound. It is a doorway to stillness, to clarity, to peace. You ready to step through? Joining hands, a gesture of unity and respect. At first glance, bringing the hands together in a prayer, like gesture seems simple, almost ordinary. But in Buddhist tradition and in many spiritual practices around the world, this small movement holds deep meaning. It is a gesture of mindfulness, unity, and profound respect. We see it in temples, in meditation halls, in places of worship. Monks use it when they greet each other. Spiritual seekers bring their hands together before and after meditation. Even in everyday life, in cultures across Asia and beyond, this gesture is used as a sign of greeting, gratitude, and reverence. But why? What does it truly mean? The symbolism of joined hands. In Buddhism, joining the hands together is called Anjali Mutra in Sanskrit. It is more than just a physical act. It is a way of centering oneself, of bringing awareness and intention to the present moment. Each hand represents something profound. The left hand symbolizes wisdom, the deep understanding of reality. The right hand represents compassion, the heart's natural desire to ease suffering. When we bring them together, we unite these two essential qualities, wisdom and compassion, which are the foundation of a balanced, enlightened life. But the gesture also represents something even deeper, acknowledging the Buddha in others. In Buddhist teachings, this simple act is a way of saying, I see you, I acknowledge the Buddha within you. It is a reminder that every being carries within them the seed of enlightenment, the potential for awakening. When monks and practitioners greet each other in this way, they are not just showing respect on a social level. They are recognizing the divine, the sacred, within each person. Think about how different the world would be if we treated every interaction this way. Imagine if instead of rushing past each other, we paused, even for a moment, to truly see one another, to acknowledge the shared humanity between us. In a world where people often feel unseen, unheard, and disconnected, this simple gesture can be a powerful act of kindness. Another layer of meaning in joining the hands is humility. When we bring our hands together and bow slightly, we are lowering ourselves, not in submission, but in recognition that we are all students of life. No one is above or below another. The bow is a way of saying, I honor you, I honor the wisdom in you, and I bow to the truth that exists beyond both of us. In many traditions, even young children are taught to greet elders with joined hands. It instills a sense of respect and mindfulness from an early age, reinforcing the idea that each interaction should be approached with care and sincerity, bringing the practice into daily life. Like the sound of the bell, the practice of joining hands is not just for monks or temples. It can be woven into daily life in small but meaningful ways. When you wake up in the morning, take a brief moment to bring your hands together. Even if you don't say anything, let it be a symbol of gratitude for a new day. When greeting someone, even silently, try bringing your hands together for a moment, internally acknowledging their presence, their humanity. Before meals, before meditation, before starting an important task, pause, bring your hands together, and set an intention. When facing conflict or anger, instead of immediately reacting, bring your hands together. Let it be a reminder to respond with wisdom and compassion, rather than impulse. There is a reason why so many spiritual traditions across cultures use this gesture. It carries an energy of peace, of unity, of connection. And in a world that often feels chaotic, divided, and restless, something as simple as joining hands can be a way of reclaiming peace. Not just within ourselves, but in the way we interact with others. So next time you feel stressed, overwhelmed, or disconnected, take a moment to breathe, bring your hands together, and remember, this moment is sacred. Bringing these practices into daily life. It is easy to think that mindfulness, meditation, and spiritual practices belong only in temples, monasteries, or quiet retreat centers, that they are meant for monks, sages, or those who have renounced the world. But the truth is, these practices are meant for everyone. They are meant for you, right here, in the middle of your busy modern life. The sound of the bell and the gesture of joined hands are not just ancient rituals. They are tools, simple yet powerful, that can help us navigate our daily lives with more peace, awareness, and connection. Here's how you can bring these timeless practices into your everyday routine. 1. Let everyday sounds become your bell. In a monastery, the sound of the great temple bell calls monks back to the present moment. But in the world outside, bells rarely ring to remind us to be mindful. Instead, we are surrounded by different kinds of sounds. The chime of a phone, the honk of a car, the ding of an elevator, the hum of a coffee machine. What if instead of letting these sounds trigger stress, we use them as reminders to pause? The next time you hear your phone ring or a notification chime, instead of rushing to check it, take one deep breath first. Let it be a signal to return to yourself before reacting. When you hear the beep of a microwave, a bus pulling up, or even a baby crying, take a brief moment of stillness. Let it be your personal bell of mindfulness. At home, you can introduce a small bell, perhaps a singing bowl or a wind chime, and use it intentionally. Ring it before meals, before starting your work, or simply whenever you feel disconnected. Over time, these everyday sounds will no longer be sources of distraction, but invitations to come back to the present. 2. Join your hands with intention. Bringing your hands together in a mindful way is not just a religious gesture. It is a way of resetting your energy, cultivating gratitude, and fostering connection with others. Try using it in daily life. In the morning, when you wake up, sit at the edge of your bed, join your hands together, and take 3 deep breaths. Silently express gratitude for another day of life. Before meals, before eating, bring your hands together for a few seconds. Acknowledge the food in front of you, the effort that went into growing and preparing it, and the nourishment it will provide. During stressful moments, the next time you feel anger or frustration rising, instead of reacting immediately, Bring your hands together. Close your eyes. Let it remind you to respond with wisdom and compassion. When greeting others, even if you don't physically join your hands, internally use the gesture as a moment of recognition, acknowledging the presence of another human being with kindness and respect. It may seem like a small act, but over time, these small moments add up. They create a life that is more intentional, more connected, more peaceful. 3. Create mindful pauses in your day. In modern life, we move from one task to another, rarely stopping to rest, reflect, or simply be. But if monks in monasteries can take mindful pauses throughout their day, why can't we? Here are a few ways to incorporate mindful pauses. Set reminders to stop and breathe. Use an app, a timer, or even sticky notes in your home and workplace. Every hour, take 30 seconds to pause, inhale deeply, and reset. Take a mindfulness walk. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, walk slowly. Feel each step. Listen to the sounds around you, and notice the world with fresh eyes. Transition with awareness. Before moving from one task to another, take a moment of stillness. Whether it's before starting a meeting, getting into your car, or switching from work to home life, pause, breathe, reset. These small pauses can help break the cycle of stress and autopilot living, bringing more presence into even the busiest days. 4. Share these practices with others. Mindfulness is not just an individual journey. It is something that can be shared. Introduce mindful pauses at home. If you live with family or friends, invite them to practice short moments of mindfulness together. Before meals, before bedtime, or during moments of stress. Bring mindfulness into your workplace. Suggest a brief moment of silence at the start of meetings, or use a small bell sound to transition between tasks. Teach children the power of stillness. Show them how to listen to a sound fully, how to take mindful breaths, and how to use their hands as a way of showing kindness and respect. When we practice mindfulness together, we create a ripple effect, one that can bring more peace into not just our own lives, but into our communities and relationships. Many people dream of visiting sacred places. Monasteries in the mountains, ancient temples, peaceful retreats. But the truth is, your daily life can be the temple. Every moment is an opportunity for mindfulness. Every sound can be a bell. Every interaction can be a moment of connection. And every time you bring your hands together with awareness, with sincerity, you remind yourself of something essential. You are here. You are alive. This moment is sacred. So the question is, how will you honor it? Your invitation to mindfulness. The bell has rung, the hands have come together, and now the moment is yours. The wisdom of mindfulness, of presence, of deep listening. It is not locked away in temples, nor is it reserved for monks and sages. It is meant for you. The truth is, life will always be noisy. There will always be responsibilities, pressures, distractions. The world will continue to move at a rapid pace, demanding your attention at every turn. But amidst the noise, you have a choice. You can let life pull you along in a constant state of stress, or you can choose to pause, to breathe, to listen. Your invitation to practice. Starting today, I invite you to bring these small but powerful practices into your life. Listen for the bell. Not necessarily a temple bell, but the everyday sounds around you. A phone notification, a closing door, the wind rustling through the trees. Let each sound be a reminder to come back to yourself, to take a mindful breath before continuing. Join your hands, even if only in your heart. Before reacting to frustration, before speaking in anger, before stepping into a new moment. Pause, bring your hands together, and remind yourself to act with wisdom and compassion. Create sacred pauses in your day, whether it's before eating, before sleeping, or just in between tasks. Take a brief moment to stop, breathe, and recognize the gift of this present moment. These practices are simple, but their power lies in their simplicity. The power of a single moment. One moment of mindfulness can change your entire day. One pause before reacting can prevent an argument, soften a harsh word, or bring clarity where there was confusion. One deep breath can shift your energy from stress to calm, from impatience to acceptance, from frustration to peace. And one small act of awareness, listening to a sound, bringing your hands together, breathing with intention, can be the beginning of a profound transformation in how you experience life. Because in the end, it is not about adding more to your life. It is about doing less, rushing less, worrying less, and being more. So, as you finish listening to this, ask yourself, what is your bell? What sound in your daily life can remind you to be present? When will you join your hands? What moments in your day can be met with quiet reverence and awareness? How will you honor this moment? Right now, as you sit here, take one deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and know that this moment is enough. If this message has spoken to you, if you feel a shift within, consider sharing it. Like this video, leave a comment, and spread this invitation to mindfulness to those who may need it. Until next time, be present, be kind, and listen to the bell.